Hey, this is Aaron, the Metal Theologian. So this weekend was the Charleston Record Show, and I walked out of there with a pretty big stack of records, a lot bigger than I expected, in fact. Usually I walk out of these things, with half a dozen records, something like that, maybe 8 to 10 or something. I walked out with like a fucking good 20 or something like that this time. A lot of them were cheap. It's a cool record show. They happen here twice a year. They're sponsored by a local record shop, Monster Music. You should check them out if you're ever here. But anyway, without any more further ado, we're gonna have a little more further ado in the form of the Swamp Pop praline shit. What is it called? Praline cream soda, which is actually already open because this is sort of my second take. There's a little mishap during the first one. Actually, mishap in the form of a sleeping kid waking up. But let's give this another try anyway. That's really fucking good though. It's a good it definitely tastes like a cream soda, but it really has like a candy edge to it. And it's really kind of butterscotchy is what it tastes like to me. I mean, if anything, this is probably the closest thing I've had to that Harry Potter themed one that I can't remember the name of right off. The butterbeer one, I think it was called. That Grown Man Record Night that those guys were talking about too, and kind of got me going on this whole fucking kick. Yeah, it's really good. God damn, it's really sweet. If you don't have much of a tolerance for sugar, you should stay the hell away from that one. But if you have a tolerance for sugar, as I do recommend it. It's pretty fucking tasty. And Swamp Pop Man, fucking Louisiana. I mean, how can you argue with that, dude? So, this is from Lafayette, Louisiana. All right. Anyway, so let's start off. Kind of gonna go do the cheap ones first, and sort of build up to the ones that I spend a little bit more on. So, this first one I actually got for free. It's third James Gang record. I was actually talking with my record dealer friend who had set up there. I was like, "Hey, what's your favorite James Gang record?" I really like the last two with Tommy Bolin. He was like, probably Bang and a Thirds. And I was like, "Okay, well, I'll check out Thirds." So I pull this one out and look at it, and he's like, "Oh, look at that! I was looking at it, it's wrecked, right?" So, I mean, the fucking thing is really scuffed up. He was like, "Oh shit, man! I'm embarrassed that's even in there. God damn it!" He like pulls it out and like throws it on the floor. He's like, "Oh, you can have that if you want it. I don't care." So. It's like, shit, I'm sorry I threw it on the floor. But, cover's as good as these ever are on this record, even after being thrown on the floor once. So I figure I could at least give it a listen and see if I like it. Um, and I can always upgrade it if I decide I want to. So the next few were actually dollar records. I rarely look at the dollar bins at these places, but there was one guy who had a dollar bin that had some pretty good stuff in it. Nothing really incredible, but some shit that, I probably should have, but didn't, like this. Yeah, I used to have a copy of this, and why did I get rid of it? Because I never played it, so now I have another copy that I'll also never play. But it's cool. It has a old, like, colored Virgin label. I also got a copy. Shit, this is almost embarrassing, man. Alright, I'll just do it. I got a copy of this. Ever since I kind of rediscovered Golden Earrings, since I remember like their song that was on MTV and shit off this record, there's a part of me that kind of wanted to give it another chance because my recollection of it was kind of heavy, but I wasn't sure if I actually like it or not because it is 82 or 83 or whatever it is. Yeah, 82, which is a little sketchy. The very first song on here, I gotta say, I listened to about 1.5 sides of this. I listened to most of this. I don't think I made it all the way to the last song, but the very first song, The Devil Made Me Do It, had a lot of different shit going on in it in a way that kind of surprised me. Like, there's some horns and, like, some keys and, like, some rhythmic shit. And I was like, you know something? This almost sounds to me like what those fucking bands like Mr. Bungle and shit like that are trying to do. Like, when they take all that shit and stick it into a little song. But instead of it just sounding, like, sort of jarring and, like, they're throwing in too much shit and it's, like, not actually shaping a song with it. This actually coheres as a song. I mean, it really comes together. Unfortunately, that was the only song on here that really impressed me. I mean, I got a little bit of a nostalgia kick out of Twilight Zone, but to say I liked it would be kind of overstating. So that probably isn't going to get filed in the main section. But for $1, I got my dollar's worth of enjoyment out of it. Here's one I've been curious about for a while because it's supposed to be a relatively heavy Blackfoot record. I figured for $1 I'd chance it. And I thought Popoff had given this one a pretty high grade too, so I was kind of curious. He took it home, put it on. It's pretty much a piece of AOR crap. Not quite that bad. Okay, I'd rather listen to this than a Journey record any day of the... Well, actually, that's not true. I'd rather listen to this than a Foreigner record pretty much any day of the week. Not any day, but pretty much any day. Journey's probably better. But yeah, so I was like, fuck, man, this record really kind of sucks, dude. I mean, Jesus Christ. Compared to, like, the good, like, Southern rock that was kind of on the hard side that Blackfoot did before that, I was like, Jesus, God, this kind of sucks. So I went and, like, double-checked. I was like, God, did Popoff really like it so much? Like, I was like, oh, yeah, he gave it a fucking 9 in his book. Which is fucking typical. He, like, digs out some piece of shit and, like, gives it a fucking 9. And someone like me is suckered into buying it. Fucking book should have been called The Collector's Guide to Heavy Metal if you only troll the dollar bins instead of actually collecting. Actually, that's what the first one from the 90s should have been called, because that one really sucked. The new ones are actually a lot better. But I still enjoy the guy's writing style, man. What can I say? I come back to those you should see the spine, not the spines, the fucking sides. The things are like yellow and shit from me thumbing through them. Anyway, I got a copy of this for $1. Haven't played this one yet. Samurai by Grand Prix. It's one I remember seeing. I've seen around a lot. I said I remember seeing it, but like that implies there was a break in my seeing it around. You know, this seemed to turn up a lot when I lived in San Francisco, so I'm kind of curious. My expectations are pretty low. I don't think I've ever heard anything particularly good about that record, but we'll see. So the next couple in here, I actually got for about $5 a pop, and these are, again, kind of more relatively obvious records, but I've, believe it or not, never owned before, so this is my first copy of this one. I had heard that this wasn't as good as the first Montrose, and apparently I'd heard correctly, because it is not as good as the first Montrose. But it's pretty decent. Yeah, I mean, that's about it. You know, if you already have the first Montrose, then sure. Don't spend more than $5 on it. This is pretty much top dollar. I was went ahead and spent $5. I already had this one. My copy of this one was pretty wrecked, and so I was hoping for a better one. And actually, I got to hold this up to talk about it, because this is... I really like Grand Funk. I'm not like a huge fan, but I really like them. But one of the things that bugs me about this band consistently is it feels like the playing is heavy, and the intent is heavy, but the production just drags it down so far. And there are other records like that, man. The first 3 Blue Oyster Cult records totally suffer from the same syndrome, where it's like whatever heaviness is in there is just like bogged down by a muddy production that you have to crank all the way up to even fucking here. Even the first few Judas Priest records suffer from that too. Actually, not so much the first 2, but the next 3, I think, all suffer from the same kind of shit production where it's just... where it takes a lot longer than it should to actually realize the heaviness that's in those fucking records, just because they're produced so quiet. This one is a band I've heard about for a long time, but it's a new one to me. This is, I'm happy to say, an Australian press of a Face to Face by the Angels or Angel City, depending on where you live. But this is an Angel one. This is on Albert. I won't take it out of the thing, but it has a little Albert logo there, like you see on the back of your AC/DC records, right? I don't think this record was great, but you know what this record kind of reminded me of is what I kind of wish Status Quo sounded like, because it kind of had the boogie thing going on, and it wasn't as heavy as AC/DC, this shit, but it kind of had the boogie thing going on, but it was pretty rockin' too, and it was overall a pretty enjoyable record. So if you asked me to grade this record right now, I would actually decline to do it, because I feel like I need to assimilate it a little bit more, just spend a little bit more time with it before going there. But I like what I've heard so far, and for the $5 I spent on it, it's worth every penny. Shit, I mixed these up a little bit. Yeah, here's the other one that I spent $5 on. It's another one that I've never owned before, but I probably should have. And that is Fire of Unknown Origin, which I'm kind of happy to own, just because of the title, Veterans of the Psychic Wars. That's just such an awesome title. I love the first 3 Blue Oyster Cults. I'm a little lukewarm on the next 3, Spectres and Mirrors and Cultosaurus Erectus. And I really don't like that second live album at all. The one with the Grim Reaper guy on the cover. Oh, and I forgot about one actually too. Fucking what's it called? The one with the guy with the tarot cards. Don't Fear the Reaper on it. That actually I think is probably their weakest record. This one though, I heard a couple cuts off of, which I was surprised at how metallic it sounded and pretty heavy. So I haven't played this at home yet, but I've heard about half this record and really liked it. So y'all can tell me which ones to listen for in the comments, because I'm sure y'all have it already. Alright, now we're moving up the scale. Those are kind of the cheapy ones. Now, in the spirit, speaking of status quo, in the spirit of giving that band another chance, I gripped a copy of this. Also, I gotta say, after seeing Ryan's video about how he had just gotten a US press of this, and it had the cool like cover that's done like the I mean, it's not really a die-cut cover. It's really just a plain cover, except that it's embossed. But it has that thing going on, and the record's in there. And it's this cool U.S. press that's so hard to get over there. I felt like I had to take a minute and go, you know something? Sometimes it has its benefits to live in America, where this isn't such a rare record. So I grabbed this, listened to about half of it. It's pretty good. Didn't rip my face off, but you know, I'm no longer going through the cycle where I put on a status quo record, and the first 3 times I listened to it, I think it sucked. So this one was fine. You know, I might play this again tomorrow. This one, yes. This next one is a very obvious one. And yes, I already had it, but I had it with the US cover, and I've been keeping an eye out for the German cover for a while. And I'm happy to be holding up a copy of Restless and Wild with the guitars on the front, because I never liked that other cover. Also, I'm a total sucker for the Accept records on the Brain label. I've actually made a point of collecting all these because, I mean, obviously, Accept is one of the greatest fucking bands ever. But it's not really, like, when I think of adjectives, like, to associate with Accept, or, like, words in that game, like, I don't think Brain is one of the first words that comes to mind. Not that I'm calling anybody stupid. But I don't think that's what Brain Records was actually founded to promulgate, with shit that sounded like Accept, Restless, and Wild, which is easily the heaviest fucking thing going in 82. Man. I'd put fucking Fast as a Shark up against anything on Kill 'Em All, man. A couple more old friends here. A couple more, meaning a couple I used to have but don't anymore. I got this. This is relatively cheap because the cover was kind of jacked on this. This is a German press, though, which is I'd never seen before, first of all. Only ever had American pressings of this. But it's kind of cool because it comes with this old, like, Wea inner sleeve. Yeah, gatefold, of course. And Captain Beefheart doing some vocals on here. In case someone in particular is watching. And since that one was so cheap, I went ahead and pulled the trigger on another one too, which is a little bit more because it's also in better shape. But once the fucking blur goes away, fucking piece of shit, man. God damn it. I can like pick my nose and shit, and you won't be able to see because it's so goddamn blurry. Motherfucker. Alright, well, there's a copy of Chunga's Revenge. Actually, I'm going to take a sip of my soda while it fixes itself. Man, it's like magic. That happened the last time it got all fucked up, too. I reached for the fucking soda, and it goes, like it just needs a little sugar, just like me. So maybe me and that... God damn it. Maybe me and that piece of shit camera have something in common as far as, like, our sugar fix. So, yeah, Chunga's Revenge is kind of a classic. Actually... When I went on my first big Zappa kick when I was in high school, this is one of the first ones I got. At maybe the second record show I ever been to, actually, too, coincidentally. So, there was a guy there who I'd actually seen around who was unloading some of his own collection. And from him I got a couple interesting things that I probably wouldn't have gotten otherwise. This one, though, I really enjoyed more than I expected to. Now, this is an African band, which is actually from Zambia. One thing that's kind of hip right now, if you've been paying attention to this shit, is there are a lot of West African bands. Like Nigeria and Ghana are kind of the big ones. I'm surprised because they have the biggest populations. But there are a lot of 70s records that are being unearthed by these fucking nobody's ever heard of them bands from places in West Africa. And they tend to be more sort of funky and more kind of soulful and kind of a rock edge to them in that. And they're good, too. I don't want to talk any shit about them. But when I come home at the end of the day and I want to listen to some rock, it's not really what I'm going for. You know what I mean? It's a lot of stuff that intellectually I like. Like, you know, like Kool and the Gang. I have like 2 Kool and the Gang records. Do I have anything against the other Kool and the Gang records? No, they're good records. I really like Kool and the Gang a lot, in fact. But it's not something I actually come home and put on myself very often. And they kind of would fall into that category, you know what I mean? And Kool and the Gang is even kind of a good touch point because they kind of have that, you know, they have the early Kool and the Gang. Because they have the funky thing going on, but there's a jazz influence and then a little bit of a rock thing, too, that's kind of melded together into a really well unified whole. You know, whereas starting with like Jungle Boogie and that, they kind of became more like straight funk. Anyway, Zambia being from a different part of Africa, maybe that's part of it. And, you know, I suspect the communication lines in the 70s weren't all that great. This is a lot more, it's supposed to be Hendrix influence. This is kind of like, it's definitely rock. It's, I want to say it's like slow or like soft, but that makes it sound like it's soft rock, and it's not. It's actually very assertive. And it's really has a really distinct identity. It's just not like like riff, like balls. You know what I mean? It's like if you listen to this, like and you're looking for it to sound like, you know, fucking Look at Yourself by Uriah Heep. It doesn't sound like that. But if you're looking for something that sounds like, you know, the James Gang, only better, which is a really good record. This one right here. So this was a really happy find. Because of that, I also got this Zambian one, which I haven't played yet. But this one, I was surprised to see, actually, because this is a relatively recent reissue. I've seen this on lists, but this is the first copy I've ever had in my hands. There's another band called Salty Dog. And it comes with a bonus 45. I mean, look at those fucking guys. Oh, you can't see a fucking thing because it's blurry. Alright, there we go. But see, they're fucking rocking, man. They're not fucking around. You know, you see how many of them are playing horns and shit and trumpets and pianos? How about none of them? That's because they're not fucking around, man. So, yeah, we'll see. I like I said, I haven't heard that one yet, but I have high hopes. Alright, this one really was an old friend. My first copy of this I was still in high school when I bought. It's the first record by the Damnation of Adam Blessing. I'd let it go and kind of regretted it for a long time. It's a hell of a cover, isn't it? That's how I turned on to them. I was like, who the hell is that? So I had to check him out. I also glad to say I hasn't really appreciated much in the intervening 20 years. First copy I bought was about $20, and this one was $20. So that one was a little bit better shape than this one, but it's not a huge difference. You know, the reason I actually got rid of this was because they kind of sounded too 60s-ish for me. And I think this record is 69. It might already be 70. I don't see it right on here. But it's right about then. But what it sounds like to me playing it again is, I mean, it sounds like it's right on the cusp, but it almost sounds like a 70s band fronted by a 60s singer. Because the band is pretty rockin', and even when they're playing like the slower songs out, they're playing them like a rock band. That's like unequivocally a rock band. But some of Adam Blessing's like inflections and just the way he articulates and shit have just sort of a 60s vibe to it that I think kind of, I don't know, just like gave me a hard time like filing it in my head or something. Because even though I always liked the record, it was one of those that kind of tended to sit on the shelf. Because when I wanted to hear 70s shit, it sounded 60s to me. When I hear 60s shit, it sounded 70s. Now I don't listen to much 60s shit at all anymore and kind of don't give a fuck. And, well, and I'm a lot older too. Who knows? Alright, this is one, anyway, that's a very good record. And fucking, it was funny hearing it again because I knew every song on that goddamn thing. Alright, here's one I was not expecting to, well, actually, I did know it was going to be there because I talked with the dealer who was going to have it. And I was like, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to resist that or not. And guess what? I wasn't, especially given the break he gave me on it. But this is Riot Rock City, which I hope everyone owns. I already owned a copy on Attic, but this is actually an original press. I'll show the label off real quick. But this is the private press on the fire sign label. You see that? And I had some vague awareness that these things existed, but I had never seen one. I definitely never held one in my hands before. So this is the no shit, honest to God first riot. And it has a little bit of, cover bending on it. Kind of looks like water damage, but not quite as fucked up as water damage usually does. But I'm pretty stoked to have this, because that's a hell of a piece. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the rock shit then. The other ones I got were, let's see, I actually got this at the record store next over from the show, but this is a new reissue, which I might as well show, because it kind of counts. But this is No Room for Squares by Hank Mobley, which is, I've never owned it before, but I have heard it before, and this is probably one of my favorite Hank Mobley records. And his records are generally really solid hard bop records. Nothing really like earth shaking. It's not going to be like Jackie McLean or Andrew Hill, where it's like they're doing something really new with it. But what he's doing really well, and he's doing it in a distinctive way. And it's just a really cool record. It has Lee Morgan, Donald Byrd, Andrew Hill, Herbie Hancock, Philly Joe Jones, who's ubiquitous on some of these hard bop records for a while there. This next one I've been keeping out for a long time for guitar shit. When I lived in San Francisco, I actually used to buy records within about 100 feet of this sign, right in the corner of Grant and Green. So that's good. Also, I don't know if you can see that, but the lineup on this thing, Grant Green with Larry Young, Bobby Hutcherson, and Elvin Jones. Fuck, man. I haven't played this yet, but like I can't imagine a better lineup for this record, so... I shouldn't even hype it, though, because it's going to suck then. I'll come back, I'll be like, oh, that fucking Grant Green record I got, I was hoping it would be awesome, and it turned out to suck. He was just doing Beatles songs on his... Actually, does he do any Beatles songs? No, man, he doesn't do any fucking Beatles songs. There's a couple standards on here, but... Someone actually did kind of a beat copy of I Want to Hold Your Hand, which I kind of wanted, but... I don't know, I was on the fence about it. Someone else got it. It's probably just as well, but man, I just don't want to hear Grant Green doing I Want to Hold Your Hand, I'm sorry. So last thing I got is easily the coolest looking record. I did already have this one too, but I had like a double set, and I wanted it as an individual record. And this is a reissue of Bells. I actually had an original of this once upon a time, believe it or not. This, aside from being probably my favorite Albert Ayler record if I had to pick one, and I'm a big Albert Ayler fan, this actually reproduces what they did on the original record, which is cool anyway, but for 1965 was actually absolutely fucking mind-blowing. And that is this. If you can see that with the glare. It's actually silk screened on one side. I think it's silk screened, whatever the hell it is. So only one side is playable, but it shows through like that. Where it says Bells, and it has that ESP logo, which right there, yeah, I'd point to it, but I don't want to drop the record. So, so the one I have is like a double set. It's a get back thing, and the other record's good. And I had Bells, and I could play it, but this is what I want to see when Bells is sitting on my turntable, which it will be a lot, because I fucking love this record. So, those are my Charleston record show hauls for this time. I'll probably have some more videos coming pretty soon, because I'm expecting some shit in the mail, and when that comes, we're going to do another new arrivals. I've also been requested to do some Punk 45s, and I think I just might oblige on that one, because I think that'll be fun. I haven't even thought about that shit in so long, but Greeno showing off the Bizarro's record earlier today kind of inspired me. So, thanks for watching, and, I'll see you next time. Appreciate it.